Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this meeting of Carnegie Borough Council to order. We'll start with a moment of silence tonight. Last month, obviously, we lost a longtime employee, Eddie Fisher. So I just ask you to keep Eddie in your prayers this evening during the moment of silence. Thank you. Thank you. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Steve.
Thank you. Councilperson Boyd?
Present.
Councilperson Riley?
Here.
Councilperson Sarsfield?
Here.
Councilperson DeLoss?
Here.
Councilperson Demko? Council President Katina?
Here.
Mayor Kabisky? Here. We have a quorum.
Thank you. At this point in time, we have a proclamation for the Andrew Carnegie Free Library and Music Hall for their 115th year anniversary. I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. In 1894, the people of the boroughs of Mansfield and Chartiers voted to merge and become one borough, and that borough became Carnegie. That borough was named after the famed industrialist Andrew Carnegie, with the hopes that Andrew Carnegie would endow us with certain gifts. He did give us an absolutely beautiful library that we were lucky to have. It was a heartfelt gesture for the people of the borough of Carnegie, and he provided the money to build the beautiful library that still stands on top of the hill today. And he also fully endowed the library, which is one of only 4 that he did fully endow. This library is the 5th oldest library in the country. 5th oldest Carnegie library in the country. This beautiful building was built to be a center for the community. It included, of course, a library, a music hall, a gymnasium, lecture hall, and meeting rooms. And shortly after it was built, the Grand Army of the Republic, Post 153, established a meeting room there. Over the years, the library fell into disrepair. Even so, in 1981, the library was listed on the National Register of Historic Places. And it's only one of 3 in the Chartiers Valley. In 2003, the Library and Music Hall launched an ambitious capital campaign. It was led by the Executive Director, Maggie Forbes, the board, and many of the patrons. Since then, the director, the board, and the patrons have raised almost $9 million for the library. The library is now structurally sound, weatherproof, and accessible. The library houses some really important treasures for the community. It houses the Captain Thomas S.B. Post number 153 GAR room, Grand Army of the Republic, an exquisite 425-seat music hall that is acoustically perfect. A beautiful turn-of-the-century library that when you walk into it, you feel like you're walking into the early 1900s. A very hip studio space. I like the word hip, and I think it is a hip studio space. Spacious meeting rooms, and also the Lincoln Gallery, with a rare collection of 100 photographs of Abraham Lincoln. Most recently, the library just finished a $400,000 renovation of the internal library, and cleaning up some of the plaster, adding lighting, and a bunch of other things. Probably don't remember them all right now, so I'm sorry. But with that, it is now the 115th anniversary of the library. It first opened its doors on May 1st, 1901. And so at this time, we would like to have a proclamation for this great fixture here in our community, this great building here in our community. So the proclamation reads like this. If the library board and staff would like to stand up, please. The Borough of Carnegie, Pennsylvania proclamation to the Andrew Carnegie Free Library and Music Hall. And I know Maggie loves the whereases, so I kept it to only 3 whereases, Maggie. 3, that's all. Whereas the Andrew Carnegie Free Library and Music Hall opened its doors on May 1st, 1901, a fully endowed gift from Andrew Carnegie to the Borough of Carnegie after they incorporated and took his name in 1894. And whereas the Andrew Carnegie Free Library and Music Hall director, board, staff, and supporters have raised almost $9 million, excuse me, there's a big difference there, almost $9 million to restore and revitalize the library and music hall. This historic landmark is now weatherproof, structurally sound, accessible, with a restored library, lobby, and studio space, updated seating in the music hall, air conditioning, and a refurbished Grand Army of the Republic meeting room. And whereas this beacon on the hill, with its beautiful turn-of-the-century library, exquisite 425-seat music hall, historic GAR post number 153 meeting room, and rare photo collection of Abraham Lincoln is an integral part of the Borough of Carnegie. Now therefore, I, Mayor Jack Kavistik, along with the entire Borough Council, proclaim May 1st, 2016 as Andrew Carnegie Free Library and Music Hall Day here in the Borough of Carnegie in honor of their 115th anniversary. Congratulations.
We'd like to present this to you, the President of Council, myself. Stay on this side.
Cheese.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Mr. DeLoss, I believe you have some
Yes.
additional.
We should mention that the current library board president, Isabel Ford, has a particular connection with this institution. Her family has been resident here in the borough for as long as the library has been. And Isabel, was it your great-grandfather? Was instrumental in approaching Mr. Carnegie in this endeavor, is that correct?
Wow.
I think that's an incredible coincidence that we're sitting here tonight at 115 years later, and the great testimony to the institution and the borough, and all of us, how we're all connected to that. Thank you to your family, Isabel.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any public comment on any of the listed motions this evening? If there is, please step forward, state your name and address, and please kindly keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Seeing no public comment, we'll begin with administration. Councilperson Boyd.
Motion 1A, motion to approve the minutes from council meeting on March 14th, 2016.
Second?
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor, is there any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Motion to adopt State Resolution Number 2016-06, a resolution of the Borough of Carnegie in support of State Representative Peter Day from the 187th Legislative District, introducing legislation to create a statewide advertising database for municipalities and no-cost advertising of meeting notices in newspapers of general circulation.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. I'm going to ask Steve if he has the resolution to actually read the resolution. If you don't have it, yeah, go ahead.
Advertising for ordinances is one of the most expensive things that we do. It's mandatory that anytime we pass an ordinance, that it be first advertised in newspapers so that everyone in the community can see it. And this is an incredibly expensive thing because you have to actually list out all the wordings in the ordinance, and newspapers make a lot of money off of this, of course, so they want to protect that income. That it's a big expense for us in the borough every time we have an ordinance that has to be passed. So there are some folks in communities across the state who are trying to come up with some ways to mitigate that expense.
The actual resolution reads, whereas promoting the wide dissemination of public information is good, it encourages input into the governmental process and decision-making, and whereas legal notices in the local newspaper, ranging from simple meeting date changes to an announcement about a new stop sign ordinance, are obviously expensive. And whereas Carnegie spends $10,000 to $15,000 a year on advertising, this is money that could be saved or spent on other necessities. And whereas Pennsylvania, by establishing this statewide database, could save municipalities and school boards substantial tax dollars in a time where every dollar counts. Now therefore be it resolved this 11th day of April 2016 that the Carnegie Borough Council, upon the members of the Senate and House of Representatives of the General Assembly of Pennsylvania, to support Representative Day's efforts in introducing this cost-saving legislation to streamline the financial burden placed upon local governments by ensuring wide dissemination of information to the public in the most cost-effective way possible. I spoke to Representative Day, and this hasn't even made it to committee yet. There's been a lot of actually opposition towards this legislation because the newspapers are obviously, I mean, it's a money-generating thing for newspapers. So newspapers of general circulation obviously are making a good deal of money off of this, so therefore they're opposed to any such database or any sort of free advertising that they give local governments or municipalities. At this point in time, we're sponsoring this. Hopefully we'll pass this tonight. As a member of the COG also drafted a joint letter among all of the COG municipalities to basically also send a letter of support to Speaker Turzai, Speaker or Representative Day, and our Representative Nick Kodik to try to get this moving in Harrisburg, at least get this to committee so that it can at least be discussed. Because right now, like I said, it hasn't even unfortunately made it to committee because of the opposition that's come out headstrong against it. So hopefully this little thing tonight we're doing will hopefully give it a little bit more of a boost and give it some more support. So thank you. Has there been a second for it?
Yes.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any more discussion? See, no more discussion.
Actually, I do want to make one point.
Yes.
That it's ironic that the signal item does not qualify as a paper of general distribution, and that it's the most effective means of communicating what this council does to the community. However, the Pittsburgh Tribune Review does meet that criteria and it's no longer delivered here. Is that not just the craziest thing in this day of the internet? How can we not support Legislative Day's initiatives here?
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Motion 1C, a motion to enter into an agreement between Carnegie Borough and St. Elizabeth Ann Seton to utilize the property at lot and block numbers 102-C-88 and 102-C-90 for municipal parking.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Discussion?
I guess most people realize at this time that we do have a daytime parking capacity issue. And we're hoping that work in this agreement with St. Louis Dan Seton will help us alleviate some of the issues, especially on this end, the West Main Street end. One of the things that this agreement does is it's a revenue sharing agreement. So it's really not costing us anything. It's providing us extra spaces. And so what we're going to do is when we fill those spaces, the revenue will be shared with St. Louis Dan Seton. Of course, the liability would fall under the borough. The administrative work would fall under the borough, but we do that anyway with parking, so it's not really a burden for us. And then the revenue sharing, which what I believe, and I think people here do too, is a really a fair deal for the borough for our parking capacity issues. So, thank you, Mr. President.
How many spaces, Mayor, is this?
There are 43 spaces in there. Some spaces are going to be reserved for Father Dave and the other priests for parking. So I'm thinking right off the bat, probably 30 spaces right off the bat we'll utilize, and then maybe even more, depending on the situation.
And this is the lot that's on 3rd Street right near the laundromat?
Right, it is a lot on 3rd Street near the laundromat, and I would expect that there will probably have to be a little bit of education to go along with this, because that lot has been not utilized for so long, and a lot of people have just parked there during the day. So we're going to have to do some education to the current residents in the area. And I might add, park there without permission.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Motion 1D is motion to advertise a request for proposal for the 2016 refuse contract.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
Motion 1E, motion to accept the resignation / retirement of Police Sergeant Mark Lint, effective April 9th, 2016.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion?
I was able to see Sergeant Link on the St. Patrick's weekend, and we share a lot of memories. There's many times through my career as a constable here in the borough that Sergeant Link, came to my aid, and vice versa, where they shared a great working relationship. And me personally, as a council member, I will miss his service to the borough, and I want to applaud him for all his hard work and his leadership as a sergeant and what he's done for our community, and I wish him well in his future.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. I'd just like to say that we reluctantly accept his resignation. Unfortunately, family obligations have made it impossible for him to stay a police officer with the Carnegie Borough Police Department. And we are definitely going to miss him. Sergeant Lind, make no mistake about it, he was a dedicated employee to Carnegie Borough. He came in and day out and put in a full day's work. And there are a lot of children in this area that remember Sergeant Lind as the DARE officer. And Sergeant Lind knew every one of those kids and was an integral part of their lives. So he will be irreplaceable, but we wish him very well in his new endeavor as a father of twins, and we hope for him the best and happy, healthy retirement. Thank you.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Finance, Councilperson Demko. Councilman DeLoss, would you read those, please?
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion 2A, a motion to approve the April bill list and bill list addendum.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, roll call vote, please, Steve.
Councilperson Boyd?
Yes.
Councilperson Sarsfield?
Yes.
Councilperson Riley?
Yes.
Councilperson DeLoss?
Yes.
Council President Katina?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Public Works, Councilperson DeLoss.
Thank you, Mr. President. 3A, a motion to approve change order number 1, Roslyn Farms and Gora Road in the amount of $17,884.50, and change order number 2, 4 separate areas of Carnegie Park in the amount of $37,702.00 for the 2016 pavement maintenance project.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Mr. President, only to mention, change order number 1 we talked about last month. That had to do with taking Doolittle off of the paving list because of some upcoming water company maintenance digging on that road. But change order number 2 is to add some Carnegie Park repairs, and near the dog park, the road has been damaged by people parking on the side and damaging the pavement. Also widening of the pavement area near the skate park, and the paving of the parking lot near the entrance of the park. So there's a number of items there that are included in change order number 2.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. Roll call vote, please, Steve.
Councilperson DeLoss?
Yes.
Councilperson Sarsfield?
Yes.
Councilperson Riley?
Yes.
Councilperson Boyd?
Yes.
Council President Katina?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion 3B, a motion to approve payment application number 2 to Aqua Infrastructure Rehabilitation Company LLC, doing business as Tri-State Grouting, in the amount of $8,075 for work completed between February 28th and March 29th, 2016 for the 2015 sewer system repairs, contract number 2015-06B sewer lining.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, roll call vote, please, Steve.
Councilperson Riley?
Yes.
Councilperson Boyd?
Yes.
Councilperson DeLoss?
Yes.
Councilperson Sarsfield?
Yes.
Council President Katina?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion number 3B, Mr. President, the council has decided to table at this time. This is regarding a study. I guess I should explain maybe what this is. Jefferson Street is that 5-lane road down next to Bagnado Funeral Home, which is in terrible repair. But it is a concrete road and difficult to repair because it is concrete. You can't just pave over the top of it. So we have been looking for some time to do maintenance on that road, and in the meantime some discussion has arisen as to whether we should reduce the number of lanes so that we can park on either side of Jefferson Street, since maybe we don't need 5 lanes of road right there. And to do any change in the traffic pattern on the street, because it does intersect with Mansfield Boulevard, would require a traffic study, Mansfield Boulevard being a state-controlled road. So before we do any maintenance planning with the road, as far as resurfacing is concerned, we will have to further debate this issue of changing the number of lanes, removing or retaining the median between the lanes, etc. And council has at this time decided to discuss that matter further before moving ahead with the traffic study. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Mr. President, may I just say one thing too, which I think we all agree to this. You know, having to pay for a study to make a change on a road can get pretty frustrating. Even if, and we had talked about this, even if we wanted to put an island with trees in there, we would still need to have a study because it would be changing the road. Because that was one of the thoughts that I had, that it could be kind of a greening area, a green space as you come into town. Though we do need parking, I do understand that, but I thought it would be also a nice place for green space. But I think the fact that $8,100 for a study for that size of the road really irks. It just feels like the money could be spent elsewhere in a better use, but just my personal opinion on that. Thank you.
Motion to table?
No, we actually decided to remove it from the agenda before we came to the meeting, so it's not.
Oh, we're removing it? I thought we did.
Someone who needs to.
Yeah, I'll make the motion.
Okay.
I make a motion to table 3B, or
3C.
3C rather.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion to carry, or motion to table carries. Public Safety, Councilperson Sarsfield.
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion A is a motion to approve the purchase of 14 portable police radios through Latanis Communications and Security in the amount of $5,481.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion?
I just want to thank Councilman or President Katina. This was all his doing. He was able to, he has a scanner at home, and he was able to determine that our communication system wasn't working properly.
My son.
Either way, his son likes to listen to a scanner, but he was able to determine that our communication was not the same as others. And he contacted the chief, and he believes this is what I think we all do, is we could be, a public safety issue, so he led the charge on this. So thank you, President.
You're very welcome. A cop is a radio's, to a cop, the radio is his lifeline to the outside world. And I was just in the back room doing the math on this, amortizing it, because obviously I crunch numbers all that. It works, for what we're going to be paying for this, it works out to 11 cents per day per radio for the expected lifetime for the last, I think we got 12 years out of the last set of them. So even if we get 10 years out of this, it works out to 11 cents per day. I think 11 cents per day to ensure the safety of our officers. I think it's a well worth it investment. So good luck, Chief. Thank you. Motion has been made, seconded. All those we'll do a roll call vote on this. This is fun, actually. Steve?
Councilperson Sarsfield,
Yes.
Councilperson DeLoss,
Yes.
Councilperson Riley,
Yes.
Councilperson Boyd,
Yes.
Council President Katina.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion B is motion to advertise ordinance 2429, an ordinance of the Borough of Carnegie, County of Allegheny, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, amending Chapter 15, Section 204 of the Borough Code of Ordinances relating to two motor vehicles and traffic, parentheses, Mary Street parking.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Just a correction in the motion. It probably should be TO to not TWO, right?
Right.
Two.
So it's not to confuse anybody.
And did someone, can someone spell out exactly what we're doing here, or just
For some time, it's come to be identified that there's some parking issues along Mary Street, in between Sunset Pizza and the State Store. People are parking on both sides when they can't find parking in other areas. It's certainly creating a traffic flow problem there. It becomes very tight when people park on both sides. So on the west side, we're going to allow loading for the pizza shops and businesses there, and then on the other side, we'll strictly enforce the no parking zone there.
And I do want to thank Councilman Sarsfield. I think he was the first one to bring this to everyone's attention. So.
Thank you. Motion has been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
That's all, Mr. President.
Thank you. Community Development and Code Enforcement, Councilperson Riley.
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion 5A to adopt resolution number 2016-06, a resolution of the Borough of Carnegie, Allegheny County, Pennsylvania, authorizing the Borough Manager to execute the grants resolution page for the Carnegie Park Phase 3 Master Plan implementation with the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. We'll now have committee reports, administration, anything to report?
I have nothing this evening, Mr. President.
Thank you. Finance? Oh, I'm sorry, Councilwoman Dent, because I knew they would go better this evening. There'll be no report for finance. Code enforcement and community development, Councilperson Riley.
Nothing to report at this time, Mr. President.
Thank you. Public Works, Councilman, I was going to say Councilman Demka. Councilman Delotte.
Yes, Mr. President. Already mentioned the change order number 2 to the paving contract for the repairs to road and parking in the Carnegie Park. A couple of months ago, we had some damage to 2 residents on Ross Street by a borough contractor doing a sewer repair, and just to report that those repairs are continuing but not concluded. The residents are satisfied with the progress to date. The borough has approved some time ago a new garage for Public Works Department over in their area on Glass Street. And on March the 30th, our Public Works Superintendent, our borough engineers, and myself met with a representative from Norfolk Southern Railroad because, like a couple of our other buildings, this new building will encroach onto railway right-of-way, and so we have to get their approval. So that is in progress. While we were having that meeting, I reiterated to the railroad representative that the borough's long-term interest is to create that railway into a path. You know, the path that goes west from Walker's Mill to Ohio ends right up the road here. And we would like very much for that to be extended into Carnegie, but the railroad has been resistant to that over the last 4 years. And so I mentioned to that representative that that is still in their interest to do that. And he promised that their representative on the Rails to Trails issue would contact our borough manager to see if we could get something moving on that. It has been 4 years since there was a train on that railroad track, but the railroad doesn't want to give up the space. They think there's some future potential use for it. We had 3 properties scheduled for demolition this year. Those are all finished. They are raised and inspected and concluded. That was 332 7th Avenue, 645 Ridge Avenue, and 322 Alice Street extension. We've already discussed the Jefferson Street paving and possible traffic study. And lastly, under Public Works, last month one of our residents indicated that his street, Grandview Avenue, was in desperate need of repair. So we did do an inspection of that street and compared that with our previous study that was done on Carnegie Borough roads. And we identified that Grandview is listed as a priority 4 street. We are currently working on priority 2 streets, not anywhere near priority 4s, unfortunately. Forest Avenue, which is an adjacent street, is in much worse condition, is listed as a number 1 priority street, but we have not addressed that because half of that road belongs to Scott Township. We still have a continuing issue with Scott Township on repair of that street. That's all I have for Public Works, but I have one other item regarding zoning. Our zoning ordinance working group held its last meeting on March 31st, and a draft document will be sent to the Planning Commission within 30 days of that time. Steve, do you know anything further at this date?
We should have something about a week from environmental planning and design that will then go to the planning commission this month.
That's all I have. Mr.
Which, by the way, there are public meetings, if anybody wanted to come to the planning commission and watch them, watch them vet watch the process. Thank you.
Thank you. And as far as the rails to trails go, Denise Fitzgerald and Salsa, Denise Fitzgerald is obviously Scott Township's manager. Salsa Umbrella is actually Collier's manager, and Steve have actually made progress on the rails to trails, so we're hopefully going to be seeing some things in the near future as far as that goes. I've seen a flurry of emails going back and forth, so as soon as we have any more additional updates, I'll let everyone know. I have two things this evening for the President's report. Or I'm sorry, I forgot Mike. Councilperson Sarsfield.
You'll find any way to shut me up, Brian. The only thing I have is the Cash Bash, which is in May. If you haven't already bought your ticket, please buy your ticket. I still have some. I think Councilman Boyd would certainly come up with a few if anybody needed them. What's the exact date on that, Phil?
7th.
The 7th? May 7th. May 7th, it's up in Bridgeville, and it is always a good time. I've attended many years, and a lot of fun, chance to win money, and chance to, have a couple drinks, relax, spend time with friends. So, again, if you're not doing anything May 7th, join us all up at Bridgeville and have a good time. That's all I have.
Thank you. Like I was saying, I just have two things to report this evening. I got an email late last week from a resident complaining about the Port Authority lot. Apparently, everyone understands that parking obviously is at a premium, and that Port Authority lot fills up, unfortunately, before the sun even comes up, I swear. And the resident was parked illegally in a space in the Port Authority lot. So obviously they got tagged. If you park illegally in any lot or anywhere and the police come along, you will be tagged, unfortunately. So I guess what I'm saying is, please stay within the boundaries of the law. And you obviously won't be receiving a ticket. But there's really nothing we can do to basically prevent people from using that lot. Even though we're all residents of Carnegie, just because the lot is based here doesn't mean that Carnegie residents get first crack at the lot. I'd like to pass an ordinance that says that, but that's not going to fly, obviously. So unfortunately, it's not going to change until the mayor's talked about this at a few meetings ago, but it's probably not going to change until we have the garage in place, and that's not going to be for some time. So the parking's obviously going to be tight for a while longer. So all I'm saying is please stay within the guidelines of the law when you're going to park, because there's really no forgiveness when you're parking illegally out there, and when you're parking 3 and 4 down from the drawn lines. And it's an unfortunate situation, but you have to abide by the law. Secondly, I just wanted to play this for you. This is actually, I got home the other night, and I enjoy a good laugh as much as the next person. And there's obviously been all those scams going around that where they call you from the IRS and saying you owe money or what have you. Well, this was the one that I actually got a few evenings ago, and I'll play it for you just so you can hear it, because and unless you're not thinking, obviously you get home from work, you're thinking about a million things when you just get home from work, and when you get home to this,
to get more information about this case file, please call immediately on our department number 951-386-9708. I repeat, 951-386-9708. Thank you.
so they thanked me at least, so that was nice of them. But anyway, the point of the story is that, I mean, everyone's getting these calls, everyone's getting inundated. My mother got one the other day, and she was so upset about it and worried, and I've talked about this before. But the funny thing is, I actually called this number back, and if you like to have someone in a Middle Eastern accent swear at you in a different language, by all means do it, because it's kind of fun. And they really get upset rather quickly when you call and question them about anything. So, and of course it's a bogus, this 951 number is a bogus number. I mean, I'm not going to waste, the police's time, unfortunately, reporting it to them, because everyone's getting inundated with them. But just be aware that, I mean, it's a scam obviously going on, so don't be taken in by it. I mean, because the internet's lighting up about it. You don't want to be a victim of this stuff, something like that. That's all I have for the President's report. Thank you. We'll have the manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just have a few things this evening. Everyone already knows the new website has been up. Many members of council have mentioned it, and we've been able to add a lot of things as obviously people have suggestions and everything. So if anyone has something that they may want to see or feel somebody may like to see, please give us any suggestions. Just as of recently, we've had a page dedicated for Pitcher Park. We have a recycling page strictly dedicated for children, which is something that we were able to pay for through one of our DEP grants. And we also have pages related to senior and veterans efforts. So there's a lot of different things on there, just besides the normal borough-related information. So any suggestions, please feel free to let us know. Borough Mapping Guide is in its final draft stage. So hopefully by the end of the month, mid-May, we should have those ready to go out to all of the residents and business owners. And just lastly, as far as the motion 5A is concerned, this is going to be, as was mentioned, the third phase of Carnegie Park. And we're going to be working on getting some of our support letters from elected officials, Representative Nick Koenig, Senator Wayne Fontana, and Congressman Tim Murphy, which is a typical process for our grant requests. And just one other thing I wanted to add, obviously as Borough Manager working with Public Works, I wanted to send my condolences out to Eddie Fisher's family. Since I worked here, it was always a pleasure to get to work with Eddie. I know that he was always somebody that I can count on, and I know Keith as well. So it's going to be really hard to fill his spot, especially being here for 2+ decades. So I just wanted to make that note, and he'll be definitely missed. So that's all I have this evening.
Thank you. Carnegie Volunteer Fire Department EMS report.
During the month of March, there we go. It is April, believe it or not. During the month of March, there were 24 fire calls, 239 EMS calls, 2 total false alarms, 1 at our favorite building, 820 Capitol Drive, the Beechwood, formerly known as Carnegie Towers. There was 1 small fire. It sounds like, we have 24 fire calls, but fire departments get called for a variety of things. I was out twice today, once because one of our contractors severed a gas line, and we needed to go make sure the scene was safe and wait for the gas company to come shut the main line off. We get called for automobile accidents. We get called on occasion to assist police on entering buildings. We get called when people smell natural gas in the air. We get called when people smell smoke in the air. We get called when we get called when cable lines go down. We get called a lot. And we're always happy to go, but we get called a lot. 24 times last month. There was 1 fire, a small fire, and just happened to be in my neighborhood. So I'll just toss out a cautionary note that cats and candles are not a good mix. Now, if you've got candles, you shouldn't have cats. If you've got cats, you should be very, very careful with your candles. These folks live in a house that is relatively deep because of a large addition, and they just happened to be at the far end of the house, and the candle was at the front end of the house. And they were alerted because the house was starting to fill up with smoke when their couch, curtains, table, lamp, etc., was on fire at the front end of the building. And and it was relatively minor as opposed to what it could have been, but I can tell you that relatively minor fire caused these gals to use a disaster restoration service to deal with the smoke that's throughout their home. They were there for 2 weeks, 6 or 7 people, literally taking everything that they own out of the house, having it cleaned, bringing it back. I just can't imagine the disruption that happened in their lives. They're lucky, et cetera, but cats and candles, once again, do not mix. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. We'll now have the mayor's report.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. The monthly activity report for the police department for March: criminal arrests and citations for 10, traffic citations 43, parking tickets 449, complaints and self-initiated activity 1,079. We're into spring now, so spring we've seen a huge rise in animal complaints already from February to March. And one thing I did want to mention is that with the animal complaints, one of the issues that actually President Katina worked on last year is skunks. We do have a skunk problem in the community, and I think we do need to find, I know you were working on it, President Katina, I think we do need to find some solutions because it's becoming ever prevalent that this skunk problem isn't isolated to any one area in our community, including myself. I have a family of skunks that live next door to me in the vacant house, so.
It's not vacant.
It's not vacant. Very good. Thank you, Maggie. Also, the other complaint that we get a lot of is the feral cats. I know I had talked to the borough manager last year. The council person in charge of code was going to work on a feral cat ordinance. I gave him some sample ordinance from the thing, and since then we've had a transition. So I think Steve's got that under his belt. But we definitely need a feral, according to our animal control. Now this is from them, not from me. That in order for them to address feral cat issues in the community, which we have a number of them, they need to have an ordinance in place. I know.
Sorry to interrupt you. We need to revisit that because I sent Terry the feral cat ordinance last year, and under the definitions, feral cat supposedly applies. So we need to.
With the animal control, that's fine, because animal control told us we need something in our ordinance that actually addresses feral cats specifically, and I gave.
Because this question just came up with the Lamar Avenue feeding.
Right.
That's what, because the definition
Right.
of feral, that's what sparked all this, and that's when I started going back and forth. So we just need to, we'll need to
Okay,
follow.
we definitely fall, but I'm telling you, with animal control,
Okay.
they informed you, chief, and they actually gave us the sample ordinances, and I passed on to a councilman.
Yeah, because I gave him, and he said we didn't need it, so
Yeah.
that's, yeah, we'll just need
Well,
to, we'll
our
need to
animal-
clarify.
Yeah, so we can clarify
Okay.
that, so
Sorry.
obviously there's discrepancy there, but there's no discrepancy to the fact that there's a feral cat problem
Yeah,
and a skunk problem. So in spring, these complaints are just going to get worse, and I do think we need to find some solution to skunk, whether it be a fund or whatever it is. I'm not a big fan of getting rid of animals unnecessarily, but both these animals cause issues. In fact, feral cats are the leading cause of rabies in the county. You can check that out, that's a fact. And they also do a lot of damage property-wise as far on other people's properties. So, and I have a cat. I don't want anything bad to happen to cats, but we do need to protect the public health in our community. So skunks can also carry rabies too, but more than that, anybody that has a dog or an ant or any other animal knows that a skunk can be very dangerous. You let your dog out in the yard, it's running with a skunk, and you're giving that dog a tomato bath or whatever it is. Tomato juice bath. Okay. Also, with spring, as we know, speeding is a problem everywhere. We had a rally for radar in Harrisburg last week. The Mayor's Association, the Boroughs Association, a couple other Chiefs of Police Association all rallied for radar. Unfortunately, I couldn't make it, but the Mayor's Association sent back some stuff, said it was, they felt that it was successful. They got some attention. We'll see. But what I want to say is that speeding impacts everybody. So we have, our chief especially has had impact details on some of our most dangerous roads. So we're going to, our goal is when we have the manpower to keep that up, to try to slow down the speeders on some of our most dangerous roads. So, and when I say most dangerous, they're the roads that the chief has documented accidents on. So that's what we consider our most dangerous roads. Also, there are some things that the police department want everybody to realize. Spring brings out solicitors. So solicitors will be hammering our neighborhoods, as President Cantina mentioned, scammers. Some solicitors, unfortunately, are scammers. We have a program that we put into place, and I want to thank Renee, our administrative assistant, very much for creating these badges. But we have a program that's in place that is a solicitor permit for the Borough of Carnegie. It's a badge with a picture on it. It has a date that it expires, has a permit number on it, and the fee goes directly to our police. But I want to reiterate that when solicitors are in your area, or any stranger, you don't need to see a badge. You can call 911 and ask for a police officer to check them out. We will be more than happy to do that. So anytime there are strangers in your area, call 911. We will check them out, because some people just have the wrong intentions. There'll be a lot of times you've heard about the scams, you've heard about the IRS scam. There's the utility scam, where two people come to your door, knock on the door, and say, "Hey, we're with the water company or the gas company, and we need to check something out." And well, one person goes and checks something out, the other person raids your house. So I mean, these scams are prevalent, and the part that makes everyone angry is that they prey on the most vulnerable, usually senior citizens that are very warm and receptive to people, and it's just not fair. But we'll do our best. Call us, we'll check them out. It's the beginning of the year, but we'll say this probably 100 times this year: lock your vehicles. We don't have a lot of smash and grabs and I don't think we had one smash and grab last year in our community. So the smash and grabs, where they break a window and steal stuff out of your car, just doesn't happen that often. But what will happen is people walking through your neighborhoods, or even through parking lots, they look for unlocked doors. And when they find unlocked doors, they're in there looking for your phone charger, your phone, loose change, anything they can get that's valuable. Maybe even a laptop. We've had people have laptops stolen. So we've had people that even left their keys in the car, and their car was stolen. The door was unlocked, the keys were in the car, and the car was stolen. Not that that's funny, but you have to be very careful. So please lock your cars. The police want to remind everybody that's the best way to stop people from going through your car. And burglaries in the spring. We don't have a lot of burglaries in our community, but we do have some. And want to remind everybody that daytime is the prime time for burglaries. It can happen anytime, but a lot of burglaries happen in the daytime. That means when you leave your house, lock your doors, lock your windows, don't leave a window open. Do everything you can to prevent it. Sometimes they're not preventable, but you need to do everything you can in your power to prevent it, including on nice spring nights, leaving an access window open to get air in your house. You have to be careful with that, because if it's accessible to people, then it could be dangerous. So always think. And once again, if you see something, say something. Call 911. Our police will check out anything and everything. So on this Wednesday, we have a hockey playoff game, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about an Irish Town community meeting at All Saints Polish National Catholic Church, 505th Street, from 6:30 to 8 p.m. And we promise we'll be out of there at 8 p.m. so you can go watch the hockey game. We're looking for ideas on how we can enhance the living experience in the Irish Town area. So, of course, all Irish Town residents are welcome, and if other people have ideas, please come and join us. our parking symposium. We did have a parking symposium last month. Really wasn't well attended. Probably most of the people in this room were the people at the parking symposium, so we have we had the usual faces. But we did come up with some ideas, and those ideas are being investigated right now. So some of them have not much has really come from those ideas, but we're still working on the investigation process of the ideas at the parking symposium. Spring road construction. Spring, here comes road construction. Yes, I know. Well, here's the first good news for tonight. The first overnight closure tonight has been canceled. So this overnight closure was canceled. They will begin tomorrow through Friday. The overnight closure is 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. And the Tuesday and Thursday will be westbound. Wednesday and Friday will be eastbound. The westbound, the Carnegie ramp will remain open. So, but on the eastbound, the Carnegie ramps will be closed. So this time of year, it's going to be even more difficult than last year because you need to pay attention of when the ramps are open and closed because they're alternating their closures. And really the only time the ramp will probably be closed is during the eastbound closures. As you know, they're going to be working on Noblestown. That'll be the only restrictions will be in the area that they're working on at the time. That's a 3 or 4 month project. And then in May, we have the big issue where we have 2 full weekend closures in May. Right now, it looks like it'll be the middle of May. There's a meeting tomorrow. I am going to be attending that meeting to try to nail it down with some dates for May. What I want to say is, once again, we're talking about spring. Every year in spring at this time, the code complaints go up. As the code officer will tell you that this is a very busy time of year for them. And a lot of those complaints deal with the same vacant and blighted properties year in and year out, which I like to call our frequent flyers. And I'd like to once again make a plea to this body and that we need a vacant and blighted property working group. It has been successful in some other communities. Mount Oliver has been utilizing that in the connection that they have to address a number of properties in their community. This is the 4th year I'm asking for this. If we would have done 3 properties a year over the last 3 years, that would have been 12 properties we would have addressed. And so I think it's important for us to look at this as an opportunity to try to stop some of these frequent flyers from taking up our time. The cost of these properties, these vacant properties, are enormous. I mean, you have the code, the daily, the code officer having not only to address the issue and maybe even go to court. You have DPW a lot of times has to cut the grass or make sure it's boarded up, and you have police sometimes that they get called there to investigate it. People, vagrants, hanging in there. We've had that before. We get a lot of feedback here, but so I think it's time that we move forward with this, and I just want to throw that out there again and have it on record. The last couple things I want to say is that we do have a watershed and rain barrel class coming up in May. You can look on our website for information on that. I think it's May 9th. Is it May 19th, Steve? Yes. It'll be right here at the Borough building. The fee is $80 for an individual, $85 for a couple, and with that you get a free rain barrel. And if you have a garden, these rain barrels are great. They keep water out of the watershed, and they will provide you water to water your garden, but they'll actually save you money. The summer activity schedule, I will have a full schedule for next for the families. I will have a full schedule for next month. We have all the days pretty much locked up, but I do want to remind everybody that June 4th is our Dog-a-Palooza, and that'll be at the dog park, and we'll have more information on that. And lastly, I wanted to, 2 more things. I'm sorry, Mr. President, 2 more things. One is the Boys and Girls Club summer camp registration is now open. The Boys and Girls Club has spots for 150 kids a week for the summer camp registration. They charge only $75 a week, which includes the meal and everything. They'll be taking field trips. They go to the pool. They do computer work. They do a lot of different things during these summer camps. And the Boys and Girls Club Board of Directors every year provides $20,000 for scholarships and teen employment, because they hire teenagers to manage these camps, which is great what the board of directors does. But I will caution everybody that really doesn't cover all the scholarships that are needed. They try to make sure that if someone can't pay, that they can get in there, but there is sometimes the need for the scholarship money is great. So if anybody would like to donate to the scholarship fund, that would go, you can allocate it to scholarships, and it goes directly to a child spending a week at summer camp at the Boys and Girls Club. So it's a great opportunity to do something good for, I know for the police, we donate every year for the during Christmas time. And then lastly, we've got a couple events coming up. I'm not going to touch on any of the library events because we have the experts here, and I'm sure we'll get full feedback about the events because there's a full schedule. But there is a Festival of Colors, which is a festival to welcome spring this weekend, and that'll be in our parking lot, and you can contact the Indian Community Center, Holly specifically, at 412-613-6853. And the band, it'll be from 12 to 5, and the band will be No Bad Juju. And then if you've ever seen some of those color runs, you'll get 4 packets of color for a $25 fee. You get the band, 4 packets of color, and then at different intervals you throw color on everybody. And it's non-toxic and environmentally friendly. And then the last thing is, because we won't be here before this, May 6th, at Carnegie Stage, Off the Wall Theater will present, listen to this title, The Musical of Musicals, the Musical. So obviously it's a spoof on musicals, and I've seen some of the write-ups from Carnegie Stage. It looks like it's going to be a hilarious show. So just wanted to put that out there. May 6th is opening night, and I think it runs for 3 weeks. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. At this point, we'll have general public comment. Again, please state your name and address or who you represent, and please keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Maggie?
Diane, go ahead. Well, first off, thank you very much for the proclamation. It's nice to be 115 years old. Sometimes we didn't think we were going to make it. And as the mayor said, we have our 10th annual Civil War Living History Day this weekend that starts at 10 o'clock. Diane Kleinfelter, who is not often here, she is our library director and SB Post curator. This is her show. And we will have reenactors all day. There'll be some, gunshots, but they're blanks. Drills and things. We have a couple of keynote speakers. One is coming from Philadelphia, talking about the 150th anniversary of the founding of the Grand Army of the Republic, and one is talking about the role aeronautics played with balloons during the Civil War. Victorian tea, all sorts of activities. I have to ask you, there's tours of the cemetery with 122. Is Noblestown Road closed this weekend?
No, not that. Most of the work will be at night.
Okay.
I mean, I don't want to say no. They could be. They're not going to close the road at all. They may do
All right.
some work.
But we have lots of people like to go see that. And so there's more details on our website. And at 5 o'clock, we have the Early Mays, terrific folk group that will be singing. We're charging Civil War prices, $5 to hear them. They'll be spectacular in our hall. And because we won't hear before our official, I guess it's our birthday eve, we have another concert coming up. And C Street Brass, there's a few of you here who I think heard them play at our benefit this year. They're amazing showmen, everything from Baroque trumpet to Billy Joel, really terrific. And for those of you who know him, I should say this publicly, Jeff Sack will be leaving the Library Music Hall, and he doesn't know this, but that's sort of his official send-off party. So it's going to be a terrific concert, and so we'll hope we'll see you this weekend and on the 30th. Thank you. Thank you for the proclamation.
Thank you. Anyone else this evening?
Yes, my name's Darlene Consul, I live on Chestnut Street. I'd just like to take this opportunity to thank Public Works for the great job that they always do in clearing the roads all winter long. Hopefully we won't have any more snow this year. And I'd also like to thank you, Mayor, and I'd like to thank the Chief for the police presence up on Chestnut Street. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I just have two questions. Larry Tiberio, 603 Morley Avenue. Mr. Katina, you mentioned that the system's messed up.
Yeah, there's feedback tonight.
You mentioned that we received fuel money for staff.
Liquid fuels money,
Liquid fuels, I don't know. But you got part of it, Scott Township got part of it. Is that correct?
For how do they, I don't know how they do it for us, Steve, is it split up or we'd have to.
That's what we're looking at right now, to see who, if Scott is actually getting funds as well.
So you don't really know?
No, sir.
Well, the reason I brought it up is because the way I got it from you was that was exactly the way it was. But we got the money and the permission, we were instructed to do the work on it. And then you told me that Scott wasn't going to contribute the money towards making the repairs on that road.
Yeah, we actually looked at paving it jointly with Scott Township. And Scott Township considered it at one of their meetings, and they came back with, no, they didn't want to do it this year.
Okay, then my question to all of this is, why would they give Scott Township money if we are supposed to be doing paving? I really don't care whether the road gets done or not, only my neighbors do. But the thing is I see stupidity somewhere along the line, and I start to question it, and I'm asking you guys if you can confront them with the same question. Why did they give Scott Township money to paving on the road?
You know, I think you're missing
Yeah, you're misunderstanding.
the way that liquid fuels works. The borough gets money.
Not that I misunderstand.
Well, the way it works is the borough gets money based on the number of miles, the number of feet of street that there is through some formula through the state. It's not for an individual street to do an individual project. It's, if you recall last month, we adopted some streets, Sunrise, or wasn't Sunrise, it was,
Over Highlands.
that had never been adopted into the boroughs, so the state would not have been able to recognize that we had these streets in the borough and that we were salting them and in charge of repairing them and taking care of the sewers, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a formula that determines how much money the borough gets on an annual basis. I think it was $174,000 or something like that this year for the entire borough. It doesn't just come down to an individual street that the state gives us money to repair.
I'm missing something, but the thing is we were given some money, the way I understood it, they were given some money. It was intended to go into the maintenance costs, the repaving of that road.
No.
Okay.
No, we were trying to get them to split paving with us. We were gonna take on the paving, and we were trying to split it with Scott Township.
What are you going to do? Are you going to pay that road?
What did we decide, Steve? I'm kidding.
That's a state road, right? It's still a state road.
I don't think it is a state
Yes,
road.
it is.
I thought we looked into that.
It's our road.
It's our road. It's not a state road. We talked about that last month.
Yeah, you did.
Remind you,
And
it's,
you established the fact that they've given you the money, they made you responsible for the the road, but it's still their road.
It's not.
That's the way I got the impression from you talking.
Again, the way liquid fuels, it's not, as Councilman Boyd tried to explain. The liquid fuels is just money that's allocated. It's based on how many square miles of road you have, residents, how many residents you have. There's a large formula, and they say this is what the Borough of Carnegie gets, okay? Now, you can use that liquid fuels money not only for paving, but you could use it for a multitude. But because our roads are in need of paving, we specify that that's what we use it for. PennDOT, not anybody tells us where the liquid fuels money has to be spent. What we do is our engineer goes out and looks at roads. We have different levels of different roads. We try to put on the top of the list the worst roads. Now, what we felt would be best served is if we pave our end of Forest and Scott Township paved their end of Forest at the same time. That would be the most effective. Well, Scott Township brought it up for discussion, and they decided that this year wouldn't be the best time to do it. But to get the best effect out of it would be us doing it at the exact same time, kind of meeting them in the middle. But there's no, when they give you liquid fuels, they don't pick the roads to get paid. We pick the roads. Hopefully that kind of clarifies it a little bit better for you.
Yeah, it does, in a way.
Sorry to confuse you.
Huh?
Sorry to confuse you.
Oh, that's all right. I have a second thing. I'm going to forget about that. We'll get back on it. I just don't want to see it get paid
Without Scott contributing.
Yeah. Someone said something about up on Cummings Hill, there's a sign that says trucks, what, 30-something feet long, no left turn?
Yeah, at the bottom, actually, there is, I believe.
What's it say?
It's a length restriction. I can't
It
remember.
doesn't say anything. The sign just has a picture of a truck with kind of like done still.
Does it have a length truck?
It does have a length. It's right up here at the end of our road. Right across the railroad tracks.
I don't know.
Yeah,
There's a length restriction. I don't recall what the length is and what the sign says.
The sign is something, it is a length restriction, but the sign does not specify footage, but it does specify a length
There
restriction.
is a sign coming off the Parkway, fire exit, coming up to the Jewish synagogue on Chestnut at the stoplight. There's a sign right there that says, trucks 40 foot long, no left turn. Now that's a what, state road, state sign, and Chestnut falls under that category, and I have asked you people to have a sign similar to that up there going up Chestnut, with a sign, no left turn, and give a restriction on the length. I'd like to see it down on 30-something. I swear that was just length given to me. Last one was something that I don't know. Anyway, I appreciate you people look at that.
So going up Chestnut to make
I
the left.
know somebody here promised to come up on my hill about 3 times, and that never happened, but that culvert is really getting beat up. The curb is getting beat up. And I don't know at what point you draw a line, but I don't know who's going to be responsible for the maintenance and repair of that culvert in that part of the street. You know, I think when they put Chestnut in and they put cement and all that, and they drove, I think they made it wider. I know they made our street wider. Summer Street was a straight line down to Chestnut, now it's real wide. And I think the state put that culvert in. And are they still responsible, or is this another one of the things where they turn it over to Carnegie and it becomes weed? And then we don't take care of it.
It'll probably be our responsibility. You're right, Leonard, it probably would be our responsibility.
Right.
And then.
It's Forsyth, is that a state road now?
Forsyth's there, the culvert's on,
On some.
it's on some, yeah, it's not on
the
Forsyth.
bend, and it's right there, it really is.
It is.
You were supposed to come up. I figured you had problems up front.
No, I thought Keith was gonna get up and we were gonna work that.
He was never told.
Keith, can you get up there and work the truck? It's what we discussed.
But,
Yeah.
I don't know what you discussed, but the thing is also what the control up there on, right there on Summit Street beside my house. It gets down to a single lane. The truckers have been starting to pay attention to it. They've been stopping, but some of the people coming in from out of town that don't know the rules and regs, they'll keep on going right through with the two tractor trailers trying to pass through where,
Yeah.
you know, you just can't do it. You can't.
Well, there's a ton of restrictions in our ordinances, because I looked at it the other day from there. I mean, it says the hours from, I mean, you can't do this from the hours from 10 to 7 a.m. and blah, blah, blah. I mean, it goes on and on. I mean, I was surprised there were so many restrictions in place.
Up there?
Yeah.
I don't know all, but the one from 10 on, that's like in the evening till early morning, 4 o'clock, 4 or 5 o'clock, I think it's not going to be maybe 6.
No, I think it's actually 7. According to our ordinances.
Anyway, that's,
I mean, it's just, maybe we're not enforcing it then, if that's the case. I mean, that's what we need to look at now.
like you say, how many things can we do?
Yeah. Yeah, they can, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, all right. But,
There was, at one point, just one question, at one point, we were gonna do a joint study with Scott Township, whatever happened with that?
They decided they didn't want to do
I
it.
want to do it. Can't
what
force
kind
it to.
of, what kind of stuff?
For the trucks up there.
Oh, they're never going to want to do it. They'll never do it.
Yeah.
I mean, we decided, I mean, I think when we discussed it, no one wanted to pay the, I think it was $8,000, I want to say, for the truck study.
I think it was.
Yeah, we didn't want to go in and go in.
They didn't have an interest.
Yeah.
Well, that's because it's jeopardy for them if that industrial park is on their property.
Right.
So,
You guys have got to figure a way to go through
And then the other question, were those ordinances passed with the study, or were they just passed?
how do you prove that?
Should there be a study somewhere?
A lot of it was lost in the flood.
My name is Ron Gasper, and I live on 100 Summit Street, same area as Mr. Todd here lives. And I've been up there 39 years. I live at the intersection of Summit and Grand. And the small industrial park, which Mr. Tabir has been complaining about for a long time. I had experience, well, every year, these 60-foot trailer trucks come up, turn around and bend over there. And they're always going on my property. Every spring, I have rocks this deep that I've been filling up. And I come to the point where I have not. Last February, I had a trailer, there was 2 trailer trucks, one coming up from Chestnut and one coming up from that small industrial park. Well, the one coming up Chestnut wouldn't give an inch for the other one to come by. So the one coming from the industrial park made a long turn, and I have a Japanese cherry tree. It's pretty good size. I now have a split rail fence about 6 feet from the curb. It went up through that area toward the limbs of the trees. And the only reason I could catch it is the stack on the truck that bent over. It was leaning over. I filed a claim with the trucking company. They did resolve the issue. And I have pictures of the tracks of the trucks. But the idea is there shouldn't be that kind of volume of traffic up in a residential area. Whatever agreement General Motors made a long time ago, that's not up to the present day. When General Motors moved in here, they had most of their parts in that hauled in by train. They had a rail siding that went into the building. Well, when General Motors left, there was a record company up there, and there was small volume of traffic, which, I mean, it's all right. But as it progressed, and somebody bought General Motors, and he ran it out to a display outfit that builds displays for all over the United States. In order to get these displays out, they had to contract these trailer trucks. Now, I can't see why, whatever agreement General Motors made with Carnegie Borough, I don't know. That's probably something you might want to look into. But it sure doesn't reward these people in Scott Township Industrial Park all the problems we've been having up there. I got to commend Mr. Javier for all his patience and all the meetings he attended. But something has to be done. We got kids up there running around, people going through stop signs. You might take that stop sign out of it. And the times that these people blow through these stop signs is in the morning from 6:30 to 9:30. And in the evening, 2:30 to 5 o'clock. Now, I got to commend the chief of police. He did send officers up in the area, but they were marked cars. Now, who's going to go through a stop sign when you have a marked car sitting there? You did send up on a marked car up there. They wrote a few tickets, but like I say, if you're not in that area, that time area, you might as well just waste your time. I addressed the officer in the marked car that was on the side street of Grandview going down towards Carnegie. And I told him the times that these violations occur. But it's an issue. You heard that old expression, kicking a can down the road. We're on our 20th can. That's how long it's been. Nobody should be able to put up.
We'll definitely try to get up there during those times, but sometimes when you have officers, you have other calls at those times. But we'll try to get up there during those times if we can. I know that your property is it does get beat up. This is the property that as soon as you pass Leonard's house, those side to the side there,
Right.
you see the big ruts.
But something has to be done. I mean, nobody has to do it. Cubbage Hill had the same problem, but they finally got it resolved, but it took a good many years.
I don't even think it's resolved there.
It's not resolved, it just,
It's, we have the signs up there, but I've seen trucks go up there, and unless you're right there, when a truck decides to go up there, they're up and they're gone. You know what I'm saying? And that's an area in your area that you're right, something does need to be done.
I mean, like I said, what agreement you made with General Motors, I don't think it pertains to this. Because of all these signs for trailer truck. I mean, 60-foot long trailer truck. The road's only 22 foot. And when you get two of them in there, you got problems. And like Mr. Iberia says, around his house, there's about a 1.5 lane there. I mean, it's been brought up that maybe they ought to take some property and widen the streets. Why should we give up our property for an industrial park that's in Scott Township? They don't pay any taxes for the streets. The upkeep. Those roads are in bad shape. We finally got our road paved in front of our place because of water coming. Those roads that look like a third world country. Now that shouldn't be. So the second thing I want to say is, it's on a good note, is talk to Mayor about the complaint about the feral cats and the skunks. Now, I was really impressed that within a week, borough ordinance officer, Benjamin Haas. Anyway, and I explained everything that was happening. I showed them pictures of this trucks and that. And it was settled. I was really impressed. Within a week, something was done.
And that's the manager, he's the one that got that done.
I want to thank you.
And obviously the code officer.
Yeah.
But manager, he usually does handle things pretty quickly.
It was. Well, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else this evening? Okay, so we'll now have Council Good and Welfare, Councilman Sarsfield.
Thank you, Mr. President. I really don't have any good and welfare other than, enjoy the events this weekend and our wonderful time. It just seems like we always got something going on. So Carnegie is a great place to work, play, and have fun, right? So enjoy yourselves, and I'm sure I'll be hopping and bopping somewhere. So hope to see you, and God bless all of you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Riley?
I have nothing for this evening, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilman Delos?
Just one thing, Mr. President, the Carnegie Democratic Committee was trying to organize a Senate candidates meet the candidate forum at the Library Music Hall for tomorrow, but the candidates all have decided that Western Pennsylvania is not their priority place to be, that most of the votes are over in the Philadelphia area, and they're spending their time over there. So we couldn't get commitment from the candidates to come, and so that event has been canceled. So if anybody was planning on coming tomorrow evening to the library, Wednesday evening, yes, excuse me, Wednesday evening. That event will not be taking place. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilperson Boyd?
Well, then I say, we don't vote for all those people that decided not to come to Carnegie and enjoy it. As Mike said, Carnegie's a great place to have fun. Can't think of more fun than the 5K race. The chief allows us to continue to use his name. There's a good, solid committee consisting of the mayor, of course, Steve, Renee, Mr. Hatcher helps us. There's a good core group of people that puts on a nice race. We've got close to 400 people registered at this point in time. Early registration period is over, which means if you haven't registered, it's going to cost you an extra $5. Sorry about that. But it is a fundraiser, and it's a fun event as well. April 23rd, the race starts sharply at 8 a.m. If you haven't registered and you register that morning, please arrive 7:15 so we can get you registered. And there's a lot of fun to be had that morning. And that's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. I have no report this evening, so I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Motion is made and second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. All those opposed, motion carries. Thank you, everyone.